Let's make sure we're going. Yep. See here. Alright. Should be good. Okay. It says that we're now live. So, now live. Okay. Well, now, let's start our Turkey Day thing. We'll do some little, just normal tutorials and everything, just to get you guys all situated, because there's a lot of questions and a lot of things that have changed over the years and stuff, and I haven't done a stream in a while, so we will see what we got here. So, first off, let's open a new document here. So, alright. Now, the first thing I want to go over when it comes to tutorials is I want to go over the tools here. There's been a lot of videos here lately about, oh, you know, you're tracing and blah, 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 and is using 3D models tracing, and is that cheating, and blah, 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 blah. Look, if you have tools, use them. If you have shortcuts to do things, use them, okay? That's what tools are for. Millions of years ago, when, you know, Unga the caveman picked up a stone and went ooga booga and, you know, knocked it together to do whatever, tools were invented, and humans have evolved into knowing that tools are important, okay? So, that being said, using tools is not cheating, okay? Using tools is smart. Work smarter, not harder. Nanaku wa seta. Work smarter, not harder. Okay. Let's take out a 3D model. So, somebody asked me about wanting to learn how to use these and everything. So what you do is you set out a model. I've downloaded this one from Assets, and if you don't know about Assets, it's this right here. If you don't have Clip Studio, you're not going to have this, so I'm sorry. But if you have Clip Studio, it's right here, Clip Studio Assets. I've shown this before, but just reviewing. You can do searches for things. There's free, there's paid, or there's just new, and you can filter it to be free or paid. So there you go. That's how that works. Okay. So, now that we got a 3D model, you can download whatever. You can also download poses. I have several poses. A lot of times you want to use a pose that you can download that's similar, or you can make your own poses. Now for me, you know, we're just going to do something simple because I'm just doing simple stuff for today. So let's just do a little simple pose. They also have this one thing here, which is down here as well, where you can change perspectives and things like that. And they also have a feature called the Pose Scanner. Now they introduced this not too long ago, but don't use the Pose Scanner. It doesn't work very well. It's frustrating. It still is very buggy and stuff. It was a great concept, but it's been around for like a year or so, and they still haven't perfected it. So the best thing I can say is to just try to make your own poses. And if you don't have any poses, you know, download it or something like that. Pretty much just look and see what you can find for pictures, like poses and pictures and stuff like this online, probably with Google. I'm going to open my poses real quick so I can show you guys. Hopefully I don't get banned for this. Some of these. So see, I have some poses that I've gotten from pose books. Just take one of these poses, pull it out to the side, and see if you can arrange your figure like this. I know it's going to be kind of a hassle, but if you try to pose scan, I will show you again. If you try to pose scan a pose, it doesn't particularly work. I don't know why. It just doesn't. Like if I'm going to choose that pose right there, see, it's nowhere near this right here at all. I mean, it's close, but that looks like she's falling instead of switching a sword. So what you want to do is you want to try and get things cleared out the best you can. If you click on this twice, that's what you're looking for, is that. Also, this right here, click on Adjust Body and Shape here, go to Pose, and click the check mark out of this box, Joint Angle Limit, because there's a lot of poses that will be kind of difficult to do, like yoga poses or something like that, and you're going to find that the pose scanner thing is not very forgiving when it comes to joints and things. They're trying to get your arms to move and twist and stuff properly with that pose scanner is kind of hard to do. So what you want to do is you want to try and just fiddle around. And I know it's kind of a hassle. You go, man, that's kind of a hassle. Well, yeah, it's not very easy. But, you know, this unfortunately is not a work smarter, not harder, because you unfortunately have to work harder with this. And if this just isn't going to work, feel free to trace this. If anybody gives you any grief for tracing, just say, look, man, I'm not copying the picture. I'm just doing what I can. So get a pose that's close to what you want, and you can mess with it and choose the little tweaks and everything. I'm going to go with something like this. Also, if you don't want her facing this way, for instance, and you want to change the other way, click on this flip model pose horizontally, and then I'll change it to that. Also, something else. Change the pose before you change the camera angle to where you want it. Like, say if I want her to be like this, kind of looking up or something, make sure that you change the pose first before changing the camera angle. And the reason why is because a lot of times, like, you know, my succubi girls and everything, I have to try and put horns on their heads or something like that. Like I'm trying to get that hand around her breast there. And, you know, I have to adjust around to see around it, see, like that. And I don't want that to be messed up. So I have to adjust the camera to, you know, get the pose right. I'll go ahead and put horns on this to show you. Like, small objects. Okay, horns. Okay, so say I have these horns here. I have to adjust this to fit on her head. So, you know, I can't keep it in the pose that I want. I have to go over here and do this and adjust where I want the horns to be on her head and make sure that they are on her head for guidance, you know. Otherwise, they're going to look funny, and, you know, I don't want that. So I have to sit here and mess around with this, and you go, well, that's a pain in the butt, Daniel. Well, art is pain sometimes, you know. Art is pain. So once I get them adjusted on here, like, you know, okay, that's where I want them on, then, you know, I can adjust how I want the camera angle or whatever. So make sure that you got your props or your pose in first, where you want it to go, and then you can change your camera angle to be whatever you want it to be. It does not have to be perfect with this poses and things. Don't be like, oh my God, I can't get this right, and blah blah. Because remember, you're just using this for guidance. So, you know, don't worry about if you've got oh, well, how can I get this to look this way? How can I get these to work right? And blah, blah. You don't have to get it perfect because you're only using this for a guidance. So don't worry about if it's not perfect. I say as I'm messing around with it and trying to get it perfect. Okay, so that's pretty much how you adjust the camera angles and things like that. I can also go here for manga perspective. You can turn it up really high or turn it down really low. What this does is kind of a fisheye lens look if you're doing fisheye. You can also do this with effects and stuff, so I won't recommend using the manga perspective thing unless you just really want to. Something else to keep in mind as well, do not rasterize this until you got the pose exactly how you want it. Because once you rasterize it, that's it. It turns it into a screenshot, like a snapshot of like a picture. So, and you won't be able to adjust her arm or, anything like that. You won't be able to adjust anything if you do that. So make sure that you got everything exactly how you want it before rasterizing. Like I want to make her horns smaller. So we're going to make her horns smaller. See? Okay. Then, and only then, can you rasterize. See? It made it into a picture. Now I can't adjust to change it. Now I can change the size and stuff. See, if I wanted to change the size or whatever, I can do that. But it's now an image. Now you have the perfect model to go with that. Tone it down. I go to about like this, like about 25 or 20, because that way you could still see it, but it's not too. And go underneath layer 1. Okay. You take your sketch pencil, and then you use it for sketching your sketch. Now, everybody will be like, oh, you're tracing and blah, blah. Well, you're going to see real quick that this is not tracing, it's using it as a model. Using tools is not cheating. So if anybody gives you any crap of, oh, so basically you trace. Yeah, look, you work smarter, not harder. For instance, I could easily go like this and try to draw straight lines. You got straight lines. Those are relatively straight. Relatively straight. With a lot of practice, you can do a lot of straight lines. What would be even better than that, though? Going over here and going and making a straight line with a straight line tool. Or even better, going over here and using a ruler. You can do that too, because it's a tool. Work smarter, not harder. If you have tools at your disposal, use them. If you have brushes, like I'm going to demonstrate in a minute, if you have brushes that do foliage, why sit there and go like this and draw each individual leaf on a tree when you've got a brush that you can just go, and just make a tree in a few simple strokes, okay? Yeah, that's the beauty part of having tools. So, hair. I'm going to show you faces and stuff real quick because I do in manga and anime style. It's kind of a paradox, and I'll explain why. Because manga and anime style are done very simplistically, and I don't really know the reason for that. I'm thinking it's because when somebody's trying to draw their manga or draw their doujinshi, they don't want to take a whole lot of time drawing detailed faces, and like we do in Western comic books where, when they're drawing Wonder Woman or Batman or something, they're really getting in there and drawing, muscles and armor and everything. And they don't really do that with anime and manga. They keep it really simple. A lot of implied line is used. I don't know if this is because of time restraints or what. And if you don't know what implied line is, I'll explain that real quick. Okay, see, this is a letter S. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. If I were to go implied line and I want to make it embossed, you know, you go like this and make an S. Okay, but if I want to make an implied line S where it looks embossed, then I would say, you know, go like this, like that, you know, and say the light source is coming in from here, so I would go like this. See how it looks like you can still see the S kind of? And your mind, your brain, puts the lines here to where this looks like an embossed S. That's implied line. Manga and anime used a lot of that. Let me demonstrate. Hair. I'm going to go with bangs. So you got your model here. And since we got the model here, we don't have to do the, you know, you see artists do this, where they do the line and then they do the line here and do the line here, and you know, we don't have to do all that because we have our 3D model. And it has our guidelines that we're going to use for it anyway. So this will be the part of her hair, about here. And if you're wondering why my lines are not all straight and everything, it's because I'm using a Wacom tablet that I don't draw directly on. I'm drawing with a Wacom tablet and looking up at screen. One of these days I'm going to buy one of those Wacom tablets where I can actually, you know, draw on the screen and see what I'm drawing. It'd probably be better. Anyways, so we'll go with the line. Now this is the base of her skull right here, so you don't want your hair plastered to it unless she's like taking a shower or wet or something like that. That's different. So we're going to have it up here. So you want to keep her hairline about here. Now remember, it drapes because gravity. Unless she's in space, and that's, you know, a different thing. Okay. Hair comes in ribbons. So, like if you want to draw bangs, for instance, start with a hairline here where her bangs are separate from the rest of her hair. And then draw simple lines like this. And then keep like this. Keep it a line about right here to her eye line. So you want to keep like that, and that gives her bangs. Now if you don't want bangs, that's how you draw bangs. But if you don't want bangs, say you want the classic, this is most of the time what they do in anime. They do the triangles. So you do big triangle here, big triangle here, big triangle here. Okay. Do some lines like the little V scoops that I call them, like that. Make little lines here and there, just kind of flipping out on the side like that. That does that. Then you got your little V's. Make sure you curve around her head, like so. It's best if you go line, 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 like that. Now if you wanted to have short hair, you just like this. Remember to keep it just in little triangles, and then it curves into your neck down here. If you're a woman with short hair, you know what I'm talking about. It curves down into your neck here. Braids. Braids are a little trickier. Okay, say we want a long braid down here. So your braid You want to do a shape like this where it's like tight. All the hairs curve into where you're going to have the braid curved in. Okay? And then braids are like simple, almost like circles. First off, you want to check where you want the braid to go. So we're going to sketch in just this little line, guideline of where we want the braid to go. So we're going to have it go down here and go like over her shoulder and go down like this. Okay? So we got kind of a guideline of where it's going to go. Now you want to go with this little oblong shape like this, like this is the kind of shape you're doing. Kind of this oblong C shape like this. Okay? But you're folding it in too. So it's folded in here like this. Okay? So you got this C shape here and a fold in like so. And then you follow your guideline like so. And keep in mind, your braid starts off big and then tapers down like this. So it tapers down the smaller your hair. The longer the braid, it starts tapering down. So you start off with big shapes and taper it down smaller and smaller as you get toward the end of your braid. See? Simple shapes. Now the paradox about simple shapes and simple lines in manga really shows in the face when you start drawing in manga and anime faces. So we're just going to do this little braid because I don't want to sit here and spend 20 minutes of the stream just doing braids because people are, okay, boring. And then you cuff it off. And then in the end part is a paintbrush. So like this. Okay? So you do your basic shape and then you go like this. Basic shape. And then, you know, a couple of little wisps hanging off of it. You want to do a couple of little sketch lines like this on each side of the braid to give it that hair look to where it's not plasticky looking. Like that. May even want to put some hairs coming off if you want here and there where some hairs have come loose from the braid. That's beautiful too to do that. And there you go, a braid. So, hair is actually pretty simple. It's you get your basic shape in first, and then you put in the details. But you want to make sure you keep it in sections. Like this is a section, this is a section, this is a section. Then you got your back section, and then you can do wisps if you want. So make sure you keep it in sections. It doesn't matter if it's short, if you got bangs, if you got a part in the middle, whatever. It's still sections. Now, when it comes to anime and manga girls, especially, because like I said, everything is simple shapes and simple lines and things, a lot of the basic manga look is relatively the same. You got a heart-shaped face. You got the same simple shapes to their body and everything. So what they tend to focus on when you draw a manga character, the things that differentiate them are the eyes and your hairstyle. So you'll see, especially if you read a lot of manga or watch a lot of anime, you'll notice that they will have distinctive hair colors, mostly blues, greens, pinks. There's always a character with blue, green, or pink hair. It doesn't matter if it's a serious anime or a horror anime or a cutesy anime. It doesn't matter. Somebody has green, white, blue, or pink hair. or all four. You know, that's somebody has those hair colors. Also, they have distinctive hairstyles. Like you'll have a girl that's a lolly. She's got pigtails or twin tails, or she'll have long hair that's in a braid, or it's combed off to the side, or something like that. So the hairstyles are distinctive. But the one thing that they really focus on is eyes. And I'm going to show you how to map up the face to get your eyes straight. So once again, using our guide here, we got this line here is our guideline. As you can see, the nose and everything's here. And this guideline here is where the top of the eyes are going to be. Okay? So you want to put another line kind of parallel to it to focus where the bottom part of your eyes are going to be. Quick note about manga and anime eyes. Kind of a moniker. The bigger and wider the eyes, say you got, your big, wide anime eyes like so. The bigger and wider the anime eyes like this, the more innocent and childlike. The narrower they have the eyes like this, the more serious the character is. Now that's not always the case. That's just kind of the stereotype with manga. So depending on how you want your character to be, keep eyes, your expressions and everything with the eyes, because the eyes are the main focal point that they use for distinguishing characteristics. So the side of her face is here. So you go here and make a line here. Side of the face is over here. So you make a line over here. Then you take this connecting line where they connect and go down to her chin. Like so. So it makes a triangle. Okay? Now here is where you draw her eyes. Right here. So eyes are kind of in a box. You want to keep a distance, like at least an eye length between the eyes. So if her eyes are here and here, you want to go with here and here. Okay, so it makes 3 distinct boxes. And then this is the top part of her eye here. And then you want to do what they call the ramen bowl, which is here, and you make this line here and here, and then ramen bowl, like so. Droops down a bit, goes like this. As you can see, you can see where the top lash is going to be. And depending on style of eyes, you can, you do distinctive style of eyes. But this is a pretty much a map out of how you want the eyes to be. I'm doing rather simple eyes. Then you got eyebrows, which once again, shape is different for any amount of eyebrows. You can make small eyebrows if you want or not. And this is how you map up the eyebrows for that. You do a line here. And then, like, if you're a woman and you do makeup, you got this right here for your eyeshadow. Let's do that in a different color so you guys can see that. So you want it to be like this, and then it sweeps in to your eye here. Okay, so when you draw your eyebrows, it follows, more or less follows that line. Like I'm going to give her little eyebrows, little corner eyebrows. So there you go. Remember when you're doing the tilt of the head and stuff, how your eyes will lid also, and where the irises, well, the irises are. If you want them to look kind of crazy, like yandere's or something, use smaller eyes like this. See, it kind of makes her look crazy. If you want her to be more, I've got a really big eraser there, sorry. If you want her to be more, seductive or whatever, do the larger ones. And if you want it just really manga style, then you got your eyelids like this, and then it's like really big, like this. So, just depending on how you want this character to be, you want your eyes to be narrow or big and wide. But remember, it's like, the stereotypes are stereotypes, but if you want the character to be more innocent, then have, bigger, wider eyes. And if you want them to be more serious, then, do narrower eyes. Okay, so since her face is pointed down like this, your eyelids are going to go up. Okay, but say she's looking down. Say we got a face that's looking down. Let's do that real quick. Hold on. So say you got a face and you're looking like this. And she's looking like this. So you want your eyelids to go down. So her eyes are going to be narrower. And when you draw those eyes with the lids going down like this, you're also going to have your irises down like here. So she's looking down. So make sure you keep that in mind too when you're drawing these poses and things and getting their poses in right. Then you got the manga nose. Now here on our model we've got where the nose goes. Of course it goes along with style too. I like to mix in a little Western with Eastern, but this is how you draw a manga nose. There you go, manga nose, ta-da! And you think, oh, well, that's easy. All it is just a dot. Sometimes they even do that. They just make a little dot. Well, that's easy. Why would that be so hard? Because you have to map it out with the rest of the face. Remember, it's implied line. So if you don't put your little guides in there, you can't tell the implied line. Let's like look at our S from earlier. Like if I went like this, but I didn't fill out anything else, you can't tell that's an S. You'd probably look at that and go, what is that? Is that some Chinese letter or something? What is that? But if I got in here and I really, got in there and like that, then you can tell, see, that it looks like an S. But because my lines aren't straight along with the S, you notice it looks all crooked and everything. This S looks crooked. So if I really wanted to make that S look like an S, like so, then I would have to make my lines follow along pretty precisely so that the implied line would make that S show up better. See? So that's the paradox of manga. Even though there's simple lines and shapes, you got to make sure that you get those lines and shapes in the right place. Otherwise, your faces and stuff are going to look really weird. So what I like to do, since she's looking down, I like to do just simple shape like this and a nostril. You can do that. Or you can even make the line. That's a good manga nose too. Or they even do this, where they go over here, and they go like this, and then they go like this. Sometimes, that doesn't look right. So you don't want to go like that, because you don't want your nose to be like, detailed nose, because then it's going to distract from everything. You don't want a full detailed nose, because like we said, it's simple lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do what I normally do. You can even leave off the top part of the nose if you want. just draw this part. I've even seen mangateers do this. That looks more like a kitty nose, but they'll do this. And there's a nose too. Me, I like drawing the noses like this. Just follow along this line and then put in one little cheeky nostril, and that's enough. The mouth is going to go about here. So your mouth wants to line up with your pupils. So corner of the mouth here, corner of the mouth there. Manga mouths are normally like that. That's a mouth. See, simple lines. If you want to get more detailed about it, they even do that. That's more of the pucker mouth. They do that too. Most of the time, if they're surprised or pursing their lips, they just do that. You know, once again, just there's a mouth, you know. Me, I like drawing in the lips. So remember, you got your septum here, and then your lip curves in like this, curves in like this, and then make sure you got the corners, and then do a bottom lip like that. And there you go. That's basic sketches that you need for your face. So line here, make a triangle from where they point. That's where your eyes will go. Make sure you have about an eye width in between. Nose is just a simple triangle. Mouth doesn't even have to be this elaborate. A mouth is simply make sure the corners line up with the irises, the holes in your eyes. And then you do a bottom lip. There you go. And that's all you really need. We'll go over shading too. Okay, let's quickly just draw in. I'm not going to do a nude because it's YouTube. Most of the time I do nudes, and people are like, you know, number one, I like doing nudes because, well, women are beautiful. And so, you know, there's that. But I really should work on costume design. Costume designing is kind of eh. I'm going to work on that. Clothing. I'm going to do a crossover bra. Crossover swimsuit. Okay, so once again, references are a good thing. So, you know, if you use references, don't be afraid to use references. Don't let people say, oh, you're copying, or oh, you're tracing, or whatever. Do whatever. Remember that fabric is pulled. So you want to use these V shapes like that to go over wrinkles. Like that. Okay, let's quickly just draw in because I want to show you guys coloring and stuff too. So, you know, so you just basically going over the shapes, getting the shapes in there. I'm not even going to do detailed horns. Oh, this is what I was going to tell you about. Okay, so check it out. I have a horn brush. So, let's see, where's my horn brush? Horns brush. There you go, I got horns. See what I mean? Work smarter, not harder. If you got a brush that does something, there's no reason for you to have to sit here and go through all the details of drawing something in, you know, it's just, don't worry about all that. Okay, so I'm drawing in her horns. I'm just drawing in basic stuff because I want to show you guys how to basic stuff. I don't want to take a whole lot of time, you know, sitting here just sketching. You'll learn musculature and stuff as you practice. So, you know, I'm not going to go over anatomy and all that, just time restraints. So don't worry about clean, crisp lines when you're sketching, because it's a sketch, you know, you're just doing the rough parts. So you don't have to worry about it. So, okay. Get some basic lines in there. Yeah, their stomach, rib cage, back. Women's stomachs consist of 4 main ab muscles. Navel. Gonna put a bikini bottom on her. So we'll go bikini bottom. Okay. Yeah. You want to make sure about perspective and stuff too when you're using these models, because of course, see, they don't have clothing on them, so you have to make sure when you use these, that the models are your guide for the perspective and stuff as well. Okay. Alright, that's good. Okay. So we'll take out our model. Don't need that anymore, so let's throw that out. You can turn this blue, which I normally do, so it'd be guidelines, by clicking on this little line right here. And then I like to use vector. Vector is very important because, it's like I've said in one video before, vector takes shapes. It doesn't take pixels. So you can resize and everything with vector way better. Then we're just going to quickly go over our sketch here. Of course, this is not going to be as neat as what I would normally do if I was doing something for a commission or something like that, because I'm just pretty much showing a tutorial for you guys. So, just going to get in there and draw in the hair. See, there we go. You don't have to worry about getting it perfect. I have stabilization and stuff up on this pen pretty high because I have shaky hands, and I like to have precise lines sometimes. You don't have to, though. If you want a more sketchier feel to it, you don't even have to use a G pen. You can use a pencil, just darker pencil, if you want that watercolor kind of sketchier look too. You don't have to use a pen. I just like to use that for the manga look to it. But don't feel bad if you got, you know, some sketchier lines and they're not all like smooth, you know. They don't have to be super smooth. I'm just anal about these kind of things. I'm such a perfectionist about things. I'm like, oh my god, that line's terrible, and I'll like redraw that line about 15 times. That's why I'm trying to get out of that obsessive behavior, because that's not healthy. And I will extend that same notary to you. Don't be obsessive about your lines. Just, you know, oh, I don't like the way that line looks, or don't sit there and draw a line 15 times just because it doesn't look the way you think it ought to look. You know, it just don't be afraid to say that's good enough. You know, don't sit there and try to draw something for 2 hours. Oh, why can I not get this line on her face right? Just don't do that. It's just wasting your time and just makes you frustrated. And then when you get frustrated, you can't draw very well. And just enjoy your art. All right, I'm gonna just get this in there because you also do not have to follow along perfectly with your guidelines. Just because you made a sketch, you don't have to follow along the same sketch lines if you don't want to. It's your drawing, so you can do whatever you want. Always love it when other artists tell you that you can just do whatever you want. It's your art. Just do it. It's like, oh, well, all right then. And then when you try to do whatever you want, there's always going to be somebody going, that's not right. It's not drawn right. How come you drew it like that? It's my art. I can draw however I want. Whatever, man. You're just not a very good artist. You're tracing. Always got to be people doing that. Don't worry about that. There's always going to be critics, always critics. So don't you do what you like. Do what you like. Life's too short to deal with people being weird, All right. That's how you ink. A lot of people, they got different things with inking and stuff, so different techniques, different pressures. I've got a whole thing about inking and everything too that I've done before, so we won't get into that, but that's how you use your models and everything. Okay, let's go into some coloring stuff. For this, I'm going to use somebody else's pictures because I don't feel like sitting here drawing a whole thing just so I can go over that. So let's see, where's good line art? Oh, there's some good line art. Okay, so here's some good line art. Let's see, new layer paper. Okay, yeah, we'll make it kind of gray colored so you can really get to see it. Okay. We're going to use this picture here to demonstrate how to color right. So, no, this is not my picture. I mean, I have other line arts and stuff, but we're just going to use this for demonstrations. Click on this little lighthouse to set this as a reference so you can have layer for reference. And now there's two ways that you can set up this from a background. What you do is you can use your wand tool and click out here on your layer that has your line art. Then you inverse it by clicking on this. Go to the layer you want for color. Pick your color that you want for skin. Let's go darker skin. That's always good. And then Alt, Delete, and ta-da! That's how you do that. Another way you can do this too, and I'm making a different layer, is by using your paint bucket tool. Make sure it says refer to other layers. Make sure you're on your paint layer and do the same thing. The only problem with this is a lot of times if your line art is not completely closed off, you're going to be like clicking in these things and all of a sudden the whole background just turns orange or something. You're like, hey, what the heck happened? Well, it was because this one little part in her hair or something wasn't covered or wasn't closed, and so, it didn't get done. So, it just chose to color in the whole dang thing. Something else, too, you'll notice all these little points, in her hair and everything. Say if I wanted to draw on her hair, Let's make our hair green. That'll be cool, huh? Green's good. Okay, so you go in here with the tool. When you go in here with the paint bucket tool, you see these little points right here? I'm zooming in pretty close. See this? It doesn't get all of it. So a lot of times the paint bucket tool, you're going to have to do it. And I like using the lasso fill tool and going in and just filling all these little dots. But man, this can be a real hassle. If you've seen some of my speed painting videos, you know I'll go in here and I'm just like for 10 minutes sometimes going around and getting all these little corners. And you go, well, is it really that important to get those? Well, in digital art, when you've got little pixels, it will show up. Have you ever had a pixel go out in your monitor and it just distracts you? You get this one little dot that's just glowing over here in the corner. You're like, what the hell is that little dot? And it's because you got a pixel that went out in your monitor or something. Well, the same thing happens in your drawings when you're painting and stuff too. If you miss a little corner and you got this one little dot right here of a brown that's going to be normally her skin, and you didn't paint it green like the rest of her hair, it will stick out. And it will look really muddy and messy and everything. So, yeah, the little paint bucket tool, you can adjust it and everything to be better, but it's kind of a hassle. I'm just going to quickly grab in her hair here so that I can show you guys shading techniques and stuff too that I learned. So yeah, see, and sometimes it doesn't grab. You're sitting there going around and it doesn't grab this. So you're like, whoa, why didn't you grab this one little part right here? Rawr! You know, so it's yeah, it can be a real hassle at times. This lasso fill tool is one of my favorite tools. I use it like all the time when I'm doing my own commission pictures and everything. Okay, well that's good enough. Because I'm just gonna show hair and skin, so I'm not gonna do her clothing. So this is what we'll do. Okay, so let's go check out skin first. First, lock the layer. Okay, so, and I've got this special skin brush. Once again, got a video about it. Okay, so we're gonna go with basic stuff. All right, let's do some basic color stuff real quick that I can show you guys. Let's grab this color here. Okay, so say you've got a ball of this color. And remember, your head and everything is rounded. So you got this ball of color. Oh, let's make it an actual ball of color. Okay, so you got this actual ball of color. Okay, lock this in place. Your light source, we'll say the light source is coming in from this. Okay, so it's coming in from over here. Okay. So what you want to do, a little bit of color theory. Use your eyedropper tool and get the color. So first off, we want to do some, we turn it down, go down the wheel this way and down the wheel to more desaturated and darker for shadows. Okay. So first off, what we're going to do is you do some shadowing like this. Okay. This is your main shadow. So you got it like that. Then for highlight, once again, color picker, then you go up this way. You want to go a lighter color. Since this is a brownish, orangish color, we went more toward the red for the shadow when we went darker, and we go up for the lighter color and the lighter texture to get the highlight. Okay, that's a little bit of color theory. Make sure that you don't just change the darkness and the lightness, the shade or the tint, but make sure you also change your color. That will be really dynamic. Okay, so once you get that, we're not done yet. So this is your basic highlight, your basic shadow, and your base color. To make it really look good, let's go up even higher on the color scale, go almost to white, and make the dynamic highlight like so. And go down here And for cooler colors, if you got warmer colors, you want to use cooler colors. I'm going to use a purple. Purple and blue down here are very good colors for that. Most of the time they use blue for manga or for, you know, semi-realistic. So you go blue and just very lightly go over this part back here. You see how it looks? That looks really dynamic. You're like, wow! That makes those shadows really pop. This is called backlighting. Now, depending on what your background color and stuff is, blue is a good safe bet. So use like a neutral blue like this. They even go like this, make a really highlight blue, and go over the very edge, just the very edge, like so. And that kind of gives a backlighting, so it really brings out that shadow. Okay. Something else I'm going to show you too, which we're going to do on the girl here. Okay, so now that we got that taken care of, I'm going to show you basic shadows and stuff. I'm going to tell you about Terminator color. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, so let's go ahead and get this girl colored first. So we want to go here. So you go down the color scale toward the red, go more toward the darker color like this. Okay. And that's, oh, don't put your pencil in your mouth when you're talking, Daniel. You go with a darker color and darker tone. Something else too, when it comes to shadows, you can use your airbrush for soft brush. Okay, so you go to soft brush with your airbrush and basically go over all of the edges real light. Just real softly over all of the edges, because remember, she's round. People aren't flat mostly, so we want to go around each edge of the figure like so. Light source is going to be coming from over here, so we're going to go like this, especially on her face. Go around the breasts, because breasts are round. If you're a girl, you know this. Now, something we're going to talk about too is planes. Okay, so we got that in there, just basic little rounded on the corners, like so. There we go. Well, let's go around her legs too, because I want to show some dynamic shadows for this dress right here. So go around her legs, go around her arm, like so. Okay. I'm going to show you the difference between soft shadows and hard shadows as well while we're in here doing this. Right now we're doing soft shadows. Okay, and then we combine by using this combine layer. Okay, now what I'm going to show you real quick, we'll get back to that, is I'm going to show you real quick using a different color so you can really see it. The planes of the face. When we do highlights, we're going to have to remember that, the planes of the face. So your nose sticks out the farthest. Okay? So your nose, her nose, this is her nose. It sticks out the farthest out of your face. Okay? Next up, the farthest cheek is here in your cheekbones, the top part of the ridge of your nose and cheekbones, and your chin. Okay? So that's the next part that sticks out. Also, your forehead is about the same, sticks out. I should have done that in red or something. Hold on, let's do that in red. So it's a different, your cheekbones, your chin, and this top part of your nose sticks out the second furthest of your face. Okay? And then we'll put it in purple. Your eyes are sunken in. to your face. Okay? So it's pretty much the lines, the basic planes of your face there. You keep that in mind when you're highlighting and coloring a face. Especially, as you can tell, it's very manga style. She's got very simple nose, very simple eyebrows, very simple mouth. It's just, there's a nose, there's a mouth, there's eyebrows. You know, it's very simple shapes, very implied line. That's why your mind looks at these simple shapes and forms her face. And that's implied line. Okay, let's go back to our shadow color. Okay, so we got soft shadows here. So what you want for hard shadows, and I'm going to use my my skin brush on this, you want for hard shadows is stuff that's closer to a surface. You want a hard edge shadow to show that it's closer to the surface that's casting a shadow, like here on her hair. Okay, so you can tell this hair is closer to her face and her nose and her lip. And here on her neck, if you even want to use the lasso fill tool, go around, make an edge here, and then her head tilts down this way, so we make a shape like this. Now it's really dark right where her head is, but the light is going down. So this is going to fade out a bit down here. So the way that we fix that up is use your airbrush, go to the transparency down here, and just very lightly kind of erase that hard edge down here. Just very lightly, just kind of gradually make a gradient. You'll also do this with the highlights, which I'm going to show you in a second too. But things that are close to the skin surface, like this side of her nose, remember the light's coming this way, so we're going to go in here and we'll make her nose shadow like this. And then we'll kind of soften it up a bit. That way, it looks like her nose isn't just flat in her face. Remember, it sticks out. So if you put a shadow there, especially a hard shadow like that, you can definitely tell, yep, the girl's got a nose, and it sticks out from your face. Also, we want to put in shadows around her eyes because they're sunk in. Like that, because they're sunk into her skull. Go over here and go into this part too, see? Also keep in mind how far a distance something is. So, like, this isn't laying right up on her, it's like a little bit of distance. So you put a hard shadow, little bit of a distance like this. Like, this is close to her shoulder here, but it's going down over here. Like that. Actually, that's her hair, so, you know, whatever. So we would actually do like this. But make sure you also go around curves of body, because like a shadow will distort over a curve of a body. Like over here. See, this part of her hair is close to her face here, but it's not close to her neck, so we would go about here to put that in there. With this part right here too. And then it's real close to her shoulder here, so we'd go back to making a hard edge line. This takes some practice. You might want to look at references and stuff for something like this to make your shadows really realistic. Okay, so we go over here and hard edged like this. And then the light's coming in from here, so I'm going to tell you something. Real simple shapes. When you got something rounded, oh, I can't draw it there. When you got something rounded Like this little wrinkle right here next to her breast where her shoulder and her chest meet. Oh my God, stop texting me. Holy crap. Okay, so anyway, you want to go like this, and then the light is hitting here, so it's going to fade off as it goes around this little part right here. So you want to put the highlight here, the shadow here on this side. Same thing with the breast over here. Okay, so you go over here. Like that. And then over here, like this. And on this part of her shoulder. It's because this is curving in, so the light's going to fade a bit. Now in her shoulders here in this clavicle, the clavicle here sticks out, but the rest of the neck does not. It actually falls behind. So you want to do this. And in her neck here, same thing. Same thing like her nose. You know, this clavicle sticks out as opposed to that. Okay? So you got that. Okay. Round this out just a bit. Okay, so we got the shadows in there. Let's do the highlights real quick. Okay, so highlights. Once again, turn up the color, turn up the highlight. And you want to go on the edge where the light's going to hit and then make it fade. Same thing like I said here with the clavicle. It's sticking out, so you want to hit that with highlights and then hit this with highlights and then fade out. Hit this, fade out. Now the nose sticks out, so you're going to put a hard line on there. Like this. In fact, you can even do a shape if you wanted to. Let's do our little cool fill lasso tool. So you go like this, like that, and even fade it out just a bit. Okay. And then we're going to go right here on our cheeks. Now the cool thing about the cheeks is like the light's going to hit here, but they curve in. So you start off with like a good highlight like that, and then make it fade down as you go down our cheeks. See, like this. Same thing with the forehead. Like that. Now lips are something different. Your lips are shaped differently. You've got, see, she's got implied line, but your bottom lip actually sticks out more. But it curves. So instead of a line being there, where you'd think, it's more like about here. Like that. And then the top part of your lip will be highlighted like this, but it folds in, so it's actually not going to be highlighted much at all, or if at all, because in fact, instead of highlighting it like this, you're actually going to go with a shadow and draw it in with the shadow color, because it folds in. And that rounds it out. So your lip actually folds in the top lip. The bottom lip is actually highlighted. So you got that. Okay, then let's see. I'm going to draw this out more. So her nose is definitely highlighted because, well, that sticks out the most. Okay, so then we got that. Then when you got your extreme highlights. Now, you don't want to do that too much in the face, just on the nose. And the reason why the nose has a highlight is because no matter what, You always have some oil on your nose. I guess the skin is real thin or something. So even though you wear base makeup to kind of cut down the glare, I know a lot of ladies do that, it's still kind of shiny. So you do a little bit of that, and you do a little bit of this here on the cheeks. Just little highlights, not too much. And also on the chin, because your chin also gets a little shiny too. And then, of course, on the lips, because you want your lips to be moist. Because let's face it, your mouth is wet. So just like your eyeballs, you want highlights on your mouth too. And for the corners of mouth, here and here. Ta-da! Put a little bit of extreme, but not too much, because unless she's wet or something, you do not want her to look like she's made of plastic. You want some highlights here and there to show that the skin is shiny, but not to the point where it's like, dude, is she made out of plastic or something? Why did you make her so shiny? So don't make plastic girls unless they are plastic. Okay, so next up, let's talk about the dynamic highlights like I was showing you on the ball earlier. So we'll make a new layer, and we'll clip it to this layer so we don't make any mistakes. Okay, so what we're going to do, since the light's coming in from over here, I'm going to show you what's called a terminator. This is the way to make skin look like it's alive. Now, whether you're drawing somebody with dark skin, light skin, or, well, even a vampire that doesn't have blood, you want to do this so it really brings out that realistic skin tones. So instead of normal mode, the blending mode, we're going to change it to soft light. Okay? And since blood is red most of the time, we're going to go with red. But we're not going to go with like extreme red. We're just going to go like here. Kind of a vermilion color. If you don't know what vermilion is, it's kind of a peachy pink color. So we're going to go with that. We're going to use a soft airbrush. Don't use the skin brush, but with soft airbrush. And then you just go over parts that are close to the surface of the skin, like cheeks here for blush, see? And of course in the nose, and in the mouth, and in the chin, eyebrows. What we're also going to do is things that are close to the surface. So her clavicle here is close to the surface. We're also going to do this. I haven't shown her knees or her... You'd want to go... I haven't shown her knees and stuff. She's wearing stockings, so you can't really see. But you want to go over knuckles and hands, the little wrist bones, your knees. I mean, she's wearing stockings, but I'm just showing you an example. You want to go over the knees really good, and elbows, and fingers, okay? And the reason why, and clavicle, is because those are close to the surface, stretched out over bone, so the blood really shows up in those kind of areas on a body. Even if you're drawing a vampire or somebody with really pale skin, if you use like some darker pink and you do this technique, it will really make them look realistic. Also what you want to do, and this is called the Terminator. I know, the Terminator, I will be back. What you want to do is very lightly go over every shadowed area, the edge of every shadowed area, like so, where the shadow meets with your color. And what this does is it kind of gives an extra oomph, that's a word, to your shadows, and gives them a very realistic skin tones. Very realistic skin tones. I didn't do much over here, so see, like here in her legs where they're bigger areas, you see how it brings it out? Here on her breast, you see how it brings it out? See? Starts looking like more like skin. Now, in case you do, this is why we're doing on a different layer. In case you do too much, say it's too dark, like say you got her nose just like way too dark, and you're like, oh dude, that looks like Rudolph. Well, you can go in here, the transparency, click down here, the transparency one, and just erase until you get it down to where you need it to go, see? So make sure you do it on different layers so you don't mess up. But that's called a terminator. You can also adjust, if it's too much, you can also adjust the opacity to be as dark or as lighter as you want. Like if you want it lighter, you can just turn down the opacity some and just give it a little bit of pink. See? That way it gives it a little bit more pink, but not too much. I kind of like the way I had it though. So, all right, once that's done, you combine that. Okay, now let's go over the highlights, super highlights, and shadows. So once again, you got this, and now we got our Terminator color. It's looking good, but we can really make her skin pop. So let's make her skin pop this way. So you go over here to blue, this blue color here, or this blue color here, and just very lightly, once again, making a new layer that's clipped to the base layer, very lightly go over one side where the shadows are. One side, not all over, because otherwise it's going to look weird. So just very lightly go over where the shadows are darkest. So over here, just very lightly go over into shadows. And this gives the shadows some backlighting. And as you can tell, it's really making them pop like super duper. That's making that skin look really good. Then what you want to do, go with a lighter color and go over where the light is. So the opposite side of the shadow. I was like, brain fart there. Her hair is covering over here, so we're not going to do much on her face. So we'll do on her shoulder here. Do this, and I mean really nice dark line right here on this edge where like the light's like directly hitting on it. And you go and make this really dynamic line right where the light is directly hitting, like her shoulder there. And over here. You make it like a nice, real nice dark, heavy, well, I don't want to say dark because it's not dark itself. Real heavy line. Kind of go over this knuckle, you know. Keep in mind what's got shade and what's got highlights and stuff. Like that. Then we look at it, look how beautiful that looks. Looks like the light's really shining on her. You can even take the light color blue like this and do a simple line on the very edge where the shadowed area is too. Especially right here on her nose. Right on the very edge where the shadows are, and give her some highlight, like backlighting colors. There you go. And that really, really makes things pop. And that's the really good technique for skin that I wanted to share with you guys. All right, let's talk about hair. Okay, so this is what I'm going to show you. Instead of using a hair brush, I learned this technique from a tutorial that I got from the assets. So let's make a new layer here above the green for her hair, and make a new layer, and we're going to first off go with shadows. So you pick the color. Once again, let's go down and desynthesize or desaturize. So we got a nice dark color. So let's see if that's dark enough. Yeah, that's good. Okay. What you want to do is you go around the crown of her head like this. So take a darker color, darker shade of your color, whatever color you want her hair, and do this. Then you want to make sure the hair is highlighted from here. So everything on this side, you're going to start shading in little shades, make darker, of everything that's going to be blocked by the light. So you're making shades around the ribbons of her hair. So down here, down here's back behind here is going to be really dark. Oh, let's not mess that up, Daniel. Okay. So back here is going to be really dark because that's behind her earmuffs and behind her head and everything. But this part of her hair is out in the open above her head, or in front of her head, so it's not going to be dark. So we get some basic, shadows going like this. And back here where her arm blocks this part, we got this part here. What you want to do is you want to get the shadows in first. So we'll get in shadows real quick. Sorry about not having any music. It's like most of the time I have music in my videos. It's not really I'm really worried about monetization. It's that I'm worried about people commenting, "Oh my God, your music sucks. It's so loud. It blew out my eardrums. It gave me cancer." I don't want to hear all that crap. So we're just going to not play music. You're just going to have to deal with me humming every once in a while. Blame my ADD. Okay, so once we get a basic shade in there, especially this shade right here, you want a nice thick ribbon of dark around the crown of your character's head. Also, wherever things fold, you do the same thing. Make a nice dark ribbon where things fold, like that. Okay? Once you get that dark ribbon in there, see how it's already forming out. So everywhere there's shadows, it's already forming out. So everywhere there's shadows, make sure you get where it looks rounded and everything. Then you go in and go over the edges of every part, just like you would a body part, because, well, your hair is part of your body. So once you get that all done, let's combine that. So then we go over here, and what you do is you take a light color. Okay, so we'll highlight, get this color, go up to highlight. Won't go super highlight, but we'll go about right there. And I'm going to use a opaque water brush. Now you don't have to. You can, if you got Photoshop or something, you can use just a simple soft brush. In fact, let's use a soft airbrush just to go. Okay, so, and then about right here where the dark meets the color, you're going to go like this. Okay. Like so. Okay. Then what you do, go in here, turn to the transparency, and use pencil or pen, and you want to go like this. And you want to go over some of the shadows, like that. Just make some lines to where it kind of evens out. And what you want to try to shoot for is kind of an H shape. You can even use your airbrush for this. So you want to kind of make an H shape in between each of the hair, like this. and the bottom and the top, like that. So like to here, you can see it really well right here. And just make this kind of an H shape like this. Okay. Then what you do, let's go back to your color, use like a pencil or something like that, and just make some simple strokes. Just randomly. Just kind of follow along the hair, just a random wide angle strokes like this. And that gives it the illusion of hair, follicles. Like that. And there you go. That's how you can get to do hair. Now I normally use a hair brush, but that's a really good way to do it. And then if you really want, you know, you can go in here afterwards and take the highlight color and go over one side where the light is really bright. And really highlight in there like that. And that's a real simple, easy way to do your hair. There, that's semi-realistic. Oh, another little cool effect I'm going to show you real quick. It's on skin. Make another layer, clip it to here, and have soft light again. And what you do is for really big shadows, like here, underneath her neck, pick this like orangish yellow color, okay, and just very lightly with your soft light go around the very edge of this like that. And the reason why is because, well, that's a little too yellow. Hold on, you want to make sure it's like this orangey color. I'm sorry. Make sure it's like this orange color, and just go over this very edge real light on this big shadow. And the reason why is because for some reason when sunlight directly hits something, it makes that kind of a halo, and it'll look very realistic for your shadows, see, if you do that. So there you go. Eyes. Show you eyes too. Okay, what color should we make her eyes? She's got green hair, so let's, you know what, let's make her have brown eyes. They're pretty cool. Okay, so eyes are actually not white. I mean, we say white's the eyes and stuff, but they're actually, you know, kind of this orangish color. So, but you would make it real pale. So we'll go about, you know, the same color as the skin, but turn it more over here to the white, and then we're going to go down to this gray color. Go to skin brush. And then go about here and do this. And you fill out the whole eye area with this nice dark colored kind of grayish tone. Okay. Now the light's coming in from over here, so we're going to go up here to the highlighter, and you make this kind of semicircle where the light would be hitting. About here, like this. Your eyelids actually cause some really big shadows over your eyes like that. Then you go almost white and make a back highlight, just a real light back here, where it looks like your eyes are shiny. Okay, so that takes care of the white part. You want to get really detailed in it, you know, get a little bit of pink and go over the very edge with this purplish pink color. The very edge here, so it looks like you got your your blood vessels and all that if you want to do all that. But most of the time in manga you don't have to be that detailed. Okay, so next up, I'm going to make another layer just because. Okay, let's see, brown. Let's see, we're going to make a brown eyes. So start off dark, really dark, almost black, and really saturated. Okay, and then we're going to go in with the dark brown color since we're going to give her brown eyes. So you start off whatever color you're going to get. Start off dark and fill in. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the medical terms. Fill in the colored part of your eye, whatever that's called. The iris or sclera or whatever it's called. So I don't know. I don't speak Latin and I'm not a doctor, so it's all good. We'll just say colored part. You guys know what I'm talking about. So go in there with this. Okay. And then once we go up here, go a little bit higher and highlight. Remember what I said about working the color wheel. We're going to go around this bottom part where her pupil would be. Like that. And then like we did with the eyeball, we're going to have it start off heavy here and then lighten it up a bit around the edges to where it looks rounded. Heavy and then round it out like so. Okay. Then we'll go even higher, starting getting into yellow. We have this main line right here. Little dot right there is a starting point. And then you go and make these little lines fading off and making them smaller as you go around the pupil. Like so. And you can even get real cheeky and go over it like this. Once you get the heavy lines, just real lightly go over to where it fades out a bit. Then go black for your inside of your pupil. And then take white. And the light's coming in from here, so you do a great big right here where the light's coming in. And do a little narrow one here where it kind of back reflects like that. When I really get fancy, you put in some red and blue. So put a little bit of purple or pink. Very lightly put a little bit of pink right here. And then go to over here to blue and put a little bit of blue right here. Gives her very realistic looking eyes. Nice, huh? And there you go. That's some basics of shading and drawing and stuff. So yep. Guess that'll be good for this stream for today. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm glad those that came to watch and everything and support and everything. I'll probably do some more streams at some other time, just, when I've got time to do so. If you guys want to see any tutorials about anything, I'll, give it a shot or whatever. But until then, I guess that'll be that. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for speed painting and stuff like that. I have a DeviantArt. I have a Facebook page. Check my about for all that stuff and everything. And you guys have a great turkey day. Gobble, gobble, gobble. See yas.